Papoose's mom exposes Claressa with devastating Mother's Day silence ! Stop everything you are doing right now because the woman who held this entire hip-hop legacy together just broke a 2-year silence, and she did it with a move so ruthless it sent shockwaves straight through the entire internet. For 18 straight months, Mama Mitchell watched Claressa Shields parade Papoose across social media like a trophy, dropping coordinated captions, matching outfits, and acting like she owned the deed to the family tree. But while Claressa was busy performing belonging for the algorithm, Mama Mitchell was playing the long game. And over Mother's Day weekend, she didn't just reject the narrative, she completely demolished it. We are talking about a cold, calculated, public maneuver that left Claressa's entire PR team scrambling in broad daylight. You thought that silent treatment was just shyness? You thought a mother's silence was neutral? Baby, that was not neutral. That was a strategic countdown to an absolute detonation. The receipts we just uncovered are so wild, so outrageous, and so deeply messy that they rewrite every single headline you've read since 2024. Did Mama Mitchell just deliver the ultimate public humiliation to Claressa Shields right in front of the entire world? Grab your popcorn and lock in, family, because the tea I'm pouring today is boiling hot, completely unhinged, and about to set the timeline on absolute fire. Let us lay this all out on the table right now because what actually transpired behind closed doors over Mother's Day weekend is going to go down as the most calculated, high-stakes family showdown in modern celebrity history. To truly understand the sheer magnitude of the bomb Mama Mitchell just dropped, we have to rewind the tape and look at the absolute circus Claressa Shields and Papoose have been running since the back half of 2024. Ever since those infamous leaked text messages sent the entire internet into a tailspin, suggesting Papoose was holding secret late-night strategy sessions with Claressa while still sleeping under the same roof as his legally wedded wife Remy, this whole situation has been a ticking time bomb. Claressa didn't just step into the picture quietly, she burst through the front door with a full production crew, a social media campaign, and an appetite for attention that would make a reality TV producer blush. Month after month, we watched her pin Papoose to her timeline, dropping captions that read like desperate wedding vows, dragging him to public appearances, and forcing coordinated sweatpants looks like they were auditioning for a couple's reality show. But while Claressa was busy building a fantasy kingdom out of Instagram filters, the internet was keeping receipts on her atrocious track record of public antics. People haven't forgotten how she handles conflict, how she snaps at random commenters, or how she treats every public setting like her personal boxing ring. Her reputation for being chaotic, overly aggressive, and deeply desperate for validation preceded her long before she ever set foot near Papoose's inner circle. And that brings us directly to the mother of all scandals that unfolded during this year's Mother's Day weekend. A moment so wild, so extravagant, and so absurdly petty that it belongs in a Hollywood thriller. Word on the curb and reports circulating from anonymous insiders inside the venue suggest that Claressa went to extreme, utterly unhinged lengths to force herself into the family's sacred Mother's Day celebration. According to sources who are working security at the venue, Claressa allegedly spent tens of thousands of dollars out of her own pocket to hijack a private VIP suite at a major New York concert event that was originally booked exclusively for Papoose's biological matriarchs. We are talking about leaked invoices allegedly showing emergency expedited catering orders, imported luxury floral arrangements with custom gold leaf ribbons, and a private security detail instructed to block anyone who wasn't wearing her pre-approved matching color scheme. Witness accounts claim Claressa treated the suite like her personal coronation, strutting around in a custom designer outfit, ordering venue staff around like personal servants, and attempting to direct Papoose's real family members on where to stand for optimal lighting. But here is where the story turns completely upside down and exposes the absolute greed and power tripping happening behind the scenes. Anonymous venue staff allege that Claressa didn't just show up to celebrate, she attempted to charge her entire personal entourage backstage tab to the family's private event budget. Leaked internal memo summaries suggest a blowout argument erupted in the hallway behind the suite when venue management brought out a 4-figure bill for high-end champagne that nobody in Papoose's family actually ordered. Witnesses claim Claressa was dropping lines like "Do you know who I am and I run this family now," while Papoose stood off to the side, staring blankly into his phone like a man who had completely given up on life. The sheer entitlement on display was sickening, but Mama Mitchell was not about to let anyone turn her family legacy into a cheap PR stunt. While Claressa was floating around the suite filming TikTok drafts and posing for curated photo dumps, Mama Mitchell was executing a masterclass in psychological warfare. According to multiple partygoers who were inside the building, Mama Mitchell didn't make a scene, she didn't raise her voice, and she didn't throw a drink. Instead, she pulled off the ultimate boss move that left Claressa utterly stunned. When the time came for the official family toast, the moment where the matriarch addresses the room, Mama Mitchell took the microphone, looked straight past Claressa as if she were made of transparent glass, and dedicated the entire evening exclusively to Remy Ma and the real bloodline of the family. Witnesses report that Mama Mitchell openly praised Remy's 6 years of unshakable loyalty during Papoose's prison sentence, highlighting how real queens hold down the fort without needing a hashtag or a public relations team. The air in that room instantly turned to sub-zero ice. Claressa stood there in her coordinated designer outfit, clutching a glass of warm champagne, forced to swallow the reality that despite all her spent money, all her force tags, and all her aggressive posturing, she was nothing more than an uninvited spectator in a house that belonged to someone else. The public reaction to these leaked details was an absolute massacre on social media. The second word got out about what happened inside that suite, the internet went into full investigative mode. Screenshot sleuths began dissecting every single micro-expression from the event footage that slipped out online. People were zooming in on Papoose's face, pointing out how he looked like an exhausted hostage being forced to sign a contract under distress. Commenters on TikTok and Twitter started roasting Claressa ruthlessly, pointing out the stark contrast between her performative desperation and Mama Mitchell's regal indifference. People were leaving comments like "You can buy the suite, but you can't buy the mother's blessing," and "Claressa really spent 10 grand just to get ignored in high definition." The timeline was flooded with memes comparing Remy Ma's natural, effortless hold on the family to Claressa's frantic, overpriced PR campaign. Every time Claressa tried to damage control the narrative by posting fresh photos with Papoose's sisters, the comment sections completely rejected it, labeling her actions as a desperate, artificial attempt to force a family bond that simply does not exist. And just when you thought the drama couldn't possibly get any messier, the financial fallout from this Mother's Day disaster started surfacing, revealing a web of chaos that threatens to implode Claressa's entire camp. Insiders close to her management team are whispering that sponsors are getting extremely nervous about the radioactive level of public backlash she is attracting. Major brands that originally signed on for multi-million-dollar endorsement deals are allegedly reviewing their morality clauses after seeing her abandon high-paying promotional commitments in Atlanta just to chase a man to New York for a family argument. Rumors are swirling that at least 2 major athletic sponsors have put their upcoming campaign payouts on hold pending an internal review of her public behavior. On top of that, rumors of impending legal action have started floating around legal circles in New York. Sources claim that legal representatives acting on behalf of the family business assets are quietly investigating whether venue funds and brand partner budgets were improperly used to cover private travel and luxury accommodations for non-family members during that weekend. If these financial audits move forward, we could be looking at a massive paper trail that exposes exactly how this entire fake narrative was being funded. The tension is reaching a boiling point, and the walls are closing in fast on everyone involved in this messy campaign. The financial walls closing in on this situation are only the beginning of a much larger, catastrophic fallout that is currently threatening to send shockwaves through every corner of the hip-hop industry. While those corporate sponsors in corporate boardrooms are frantically reviewing morality clauses and cross-referencing expense reports, the institutional damage being done behind the scenes is reaching a point of total non-recovery. Sources close to major entertainment law firms in New York are dropping hints that the legal machinery is already in motion to conduct a comprehensive audit into every single contract, brand deal, and joint appearance arranged over the last 18 months. We are talking about allegations of misallocated corporate funding, unauthorized talent bookings, and private luxury asset usage that could trigger formal investigations by regulatory bodies if these paper trails lead where analysts suspect they are heading. Imagine the sheer humiliation of having top-tier corporate attorneys combing through every line item of a luxury suite rental, picking apart every single charge to determine whether business promotional funds were illegally funneled into funding a personal PR campaign designed to deceive the public on social media. The legal implications alone are enough to cause sleepless nights for anyone involved, but when you mix financial scrutiny with public outrage, you get a powder keg that is ready to explode at any given second. The public pressure has become so suffocating that industry insiders are whispering about high-level emergency meetings being held late at night between crisis management publicists, talent agents, and brand managers who are desperately trying to figure out how to stop the bleeding before the entire structure collapses. People inside those closed-door strategy sessions are reportedly telling Claressa point-blank that her public image is taking hits from which a sports figure simply cannot recover. You cannot market yourself as a world champion, undefeated, untouchable athlete while simultaneously being dragged across every gossip blog on the planet for chasing a married man's family into a private VIP section on Mother's Day weekend. The contrast is too jarring, the optics are too embarrassing, and the audience is simply refusing to buy the polished story her team is trying to sell. Every single time she attempts to pivot back to sports, dropping training footage or highlighting past athletic achievements, the comment sections immediately override her posts with thousands of relentless questions about Mama Mitchell, the missing divorce papers, and the obvious tension captured on camera. It has reached a point where her team can no longer manage the algorithm, because the algorithm feeds on authentic public engagement, and right now, the public is unanimously engaged in calling out what they perceive as a massive, performative illusion. To make matters even more intense, rumors are rapidly circulating through political and legal commentary circles that a formal probe could be initiated regarding potential tax implications surrounding non-monetary perks and luxury gifts exchanged during these high-profile appearances. Anonymous financial whistleblowers have alleged that luxury travel accommodations, designer wardrobe packages, and private security motorcades provided during these coordinated public rollouts were never properly declared as taxable fringe benefits or promotional compensation. If state or federal tax authorities choose to take a closer look at these transactions, what started out as messy celebrity relationship gossip could instantly morph into a full-scale corporate tax nightmare complete with heavy fines, back pay assessments, and severe reputational ruin. The sheer thought of government investigators knocking on doors to audit receipts from a Mother's Day concert suite is the kind of wild, unbelievable reality that only happens when desperation drives people to bypass standard industry protocols. Meanwhile, the psychological toll this continuous backlash is taking on the main players is becoming impossible to hide from the public eye. Observers who have attended recent red carpet events and high-profile industry gatherings report that the atmosphere surrounding Papoose and Claressa is thick with unspoken anxiety and visible frustration. Papoose, a man who built his entire career on a foundation of street credibility, lyricism, and unwavering authenticity, is now finding himself positioned at the center of what many peers consider a cheap internet melodrama. Industry veterans who have known him for decades are allegedly reaching out privately, expressing genuine concern that his legacy as a respected artist and family man is being permanently tarnished by a relentless media campaign he no longer seems to control. His body language at recent public outings continues to speak volumes. Where he once exuded confidence and genuine pride alongside his family, he now appears perpetually guarded, scanning rooms for cameras, and keeping his interactions as brief and formal as humanly possible. It is the look of a man who realizes he has walked straight into a public relations trap and has no smooth exit strategy that won't result in further public spectacle. As the narrative continues to crumble under the weight of these leaks and public reactions, the comparison between the past and the present becomes more devastating with every passing hour. For 15 solid years, the public witnessed a relationship dynamic between Papoose and Remy Ma that was defined by mutual respect, shared struggles, and deep-rooted family unity that required no artificial amplification. When a bond is real, it doesn't need to be launched on a schedule. It doesn't need a team of social media managers coordinating tag orders at midnight, nor does it require public defensive outbursts in private direct messages to convince strangers of its validity. What we are witnessing right now is the natural consequence of trying to force a public narrative onto a family structure that was never built to accept it. Mama Mitchell's decisive, silent maneuver over Mother's Day weekend was not an isolated incident of maternal protectiveness. It was the execution of a long-standing family boundary that has been maintained with absolute discipline for 18 months straight. The fallout is expanding far beyond the boundaries of social media comment sections and spilling directly into the professional lives of everyone connected to this saga. Talent bookers for major television networks and event organizers are reportedly hesitating to extend invitations for upcoming award shows and red carpets, fearing that the unresolved family drama will overshadow the actual events themselves. Promoters who once viewed joint appearances as guaranteed crowd pleasers are now viewing them as high-risk liabilities capable of sparking unplanned media circuses and negative publicity. The cold, hard truth facing Claressa's camp today is that no amount of spin, no amount of aggressive caption writing, and no amount of lavish spending can undo the profound damage caused by a matriarch's public rejection. The momentum has completely shifted, the receipts are stacked to the ceiling, and the public is watching every single move with microscopic precision, waiting for the inevitable moment when the final piece of this puzzle falls into place and forces everyone involved to face the absolute truth of what has transpired. The tension hanging over this entire situation has officially reached a fever pitch, and as we move deeper into the fallout, the final pieces of this massive puzzle are falling into place with terrifying speed. What began as subtle internet speculation over tag orders and missing social media likes has metastasized into an all-out institutional crisis that is reshaping how the public views every single person on this stage. The quiet power shift that Mama Mitchell initiated over Mother's Day weekend didn't just rattle the immediate inner circle. It effectively shattered the illusion that a public relations rollout can substitute for real, authentic family roots. Every single day that passes without a public retraction or an official reconciliation from the matriarch herself, the public consensus grows more hardened, more unified, and vastly more critical of the desperate maneuvers being pulled behind closed doors. Look closely at the mechanics of how this crisis is expanding across every corner of the media landscape. Industry insiders are now reporting that major media networks and podcast executives are actively pulling back on scheduled joint interviews, fearing that bringing this unraveling narrative onto live broadcasts will derail their own brand integrity. Producers who once viewed this high-profile dynamic as prime ratings gold are now treating it like a toxic liability, quietly shelving taped segments and cancelling scheduled press junkets. The tragic irony in all of me is that the very campaign launched to force public acceptance has accomplished the exact opposite. It has isolated the key players, paralyzed their professional momentum, and exposed the deep fractures within an operation that tried to run before it ever learned how to walk. The contrast between performative branding and genuine respect has never been showcased so brutally in the modern digital era. When you look back at how Mama Mitchell navigated 15 years of public attention alongside Remy Ma, there was never a need for calculated strategy meetings or artificial social media launches. The respect was earned through shared sacrifice, through standing outside prison walls in the freezing cold, through holding down a home while the cameras were turned off, and through honoring the sacred boundaries of a family that values privacy over clout. What transpired over Mother's Day weekend was the ultimate reckoning for anyone who thought they could bypass those years of sacrifice with high-end designer outfits, VIP concert suites, and pre-planned Instagram captions designed to manipulate public perception. As the legal inquiries, brand audits, and public backlash continue to mount, the long-term consequences for everyone involved are becoming painfully clear. Claressa Shields finds herself standing at a critical crossroads where her legendary athletic legacy, a legacy built on blood, sweat, and undisputed championship gold, is actively being swallowed whole by a celebrity soap opera that yields zero return on investment. The very audience that once cheered her victories in the ring is now tuning in solely to dissect the awkward body language, the desperate DM responses, and the unrelenting silence from a matriarch who refuses to be bought, swayed, or quieted by external pressure. The cost of chasing validation in a room where you were never given the key is proving to be far more expensive than any VIP suite invoice could ever reflect. And what about Papoose? The court of public opinion has already delivered its preliminary assessment on a man caught between the heavy weight of his family's legacy and the aggressive demands of a managed public rollout. For a veteran artist who spent decades carving out a reputation based on loyalty, honor, and undeniable street credibility, the visual of looking drained, disconnected, and visibly uncomfortable under the glare of his own partner's cell phone camera is a tough pill for his core fanbase to swallow. You cannot fake authentic joy, you cannot mandate genuine chemistry, and you certainly cannot force a mother's blessing through a press release. The exhaustion etched onto his face during that Mother's Day weekend wasn't just physical fatigue from a long concert night. It was the spiritual weight of a man realizing that the narrative has completely spiraled out of his control. Meanwhile, sitting completely undisturbed at the center of this storm, Remy Ma and Mama Mitchell continue to demonstrate what true composure looks like in the face of public chaos. Without posting a single shady tweet, without going live to air out dirty laundry, and without engaging in petty internet back and forth, they have allowed the sheer weight of their history to do all the heavy lifting. A mother's silence, when backed by 18 straight months of unwavering consistency, becomes an immovable fortress. It sends a message so clear, so profound, and so devastatingly loud that no amount of coordinated damage control can ever hope to pierce through it. The receipts have been audited, the timeline has been established, the public has rendered its verdict, and the cold reality is settling in. The throne was never vacant. The deed was never transferred, and the matriarch